How's it, everybody? Welcome to the Rocky Fern. My name is Luca. I have OI type 4, and today we're going to be starting off a brand new series called Show Me the Green, where I show you how I keep and care for all of my houseplants, succulents, and just general gardening here in beautiful Hawaii. We're going to be starting off the series with a banger, Philodendron Spiritus Sancti. Let's go. So, like I said, this is the Philodendron Spiritus Sancti. It is a beautiful, beautiful aroid. It belongs to the family of Ariaceae, and it's found in Brazil in a state called Spiritus Sancti, which means the Holy Spirit, and it's on the east coast of the country. It borders right up against the Atlantic Ocean. It is a smaller state. I'm kind of surprised by how small it is because the distribution of the Spiritus Sancti inside that country is actually very, very limited. I've heard that there's less than 12 individuals in situ, in the wild, in habitat. And fortunately for us, there's a much larger population in captivity. So if we could ever reseed, some suitable habitat in the future, we have the opportunity to do that. Before me, I have two different plants. Right here we have a tissue culture seedling, or rather tissue culture propagation from a company off of Etsy called Northland Botanical, and I was very happy with this shipment. It came in an unlabeled vial, beautiful, healthy, and I like that it was actually unlabeled, or wasn't labeled, because it is a very high-end plant. I just like that they thought of that potentially, and that potential risk, and didn't label it. It was beautiful. It's a little bit bigger than it was when I received it. It had two more leaves on there, but it was being kept outside, and a mouse came through and nipped off a bunch of tips off of a lot of plants. So I've since moved it back in. Unfortunately, all the damage you can see is just on this one leaf, and the rest of the leaves are coming in perfect. It's mostly green. I don't see any red tinges to it. Either way, I really love this plant, and I'm very happy with the purchase. This guy, however, this is a seedling grown plant from Dom over at Red Leaf Exotics, and I love this plant. I really love this plant. It's got a lot of pink and fuchsia in it. The petioles are kind of an orange biliaceae kind of feel. The sheaths, the petiole sheaths, have this really nice redness to them. The back of the leaves have this really nice orange tinge to them. The front of the leaves are developing that very nice long tapered look. The drip tip on it is dramatic and awesome. I love this plant, so I can't thank Dom enough. He does extremely awesome stuff. He was the first in the United States to breed the Spiritus Sancti, and he also produced the first variegated form of the Spiritus Sancti, which I know you guys know what it looks like. It's a beautiful, awesome plant. Hope to one day own those genetics in my collection, but until then, I have these awesome, awesome plants. They are a climbing philodendron. They can either be a scrambler or a climber, and these guys are definitely a climber. Some of the leaves can get upwards of 24 inches or more. The petioles themselves can also get that big. As far as care goes, bright indirect light, like with most aroids. No direct sun, but honestly, I've seen them growing anywhere from pretty heavy shade, like Dom's plants in his greenhouse, he has them kind of on the lighter side, I believe, to pretty heavily saturated with some bright indirect light. It's really just the intensity of the light from a direct, sun exposure that would be damaging, in my opinion. They aren't heavy feeders, I've noticed, but we'll see what happens. I have mine kept in a homemade pond mix. Pond to me is just the best insurance you have for your plants. I've seen amazing growth and just vigor out of growing plants in pond versus in like an aroid mix. I will experiment that with aroid mixes down in the future. I do have a homemade aroid mix that I use for a lot of my plants, but because these were such a high-end plant, I ended up using pond just to share my bets. I do use these plastic tumblers. I drill a hole about 1 inch from the bottom to kind of create a reservoir. And depending if I'm going to hang it or whatnot, I might drill another hole and then use a hook just to hang it on to a wire trellis or whatever the case is. But most of my plants that I do this are kept outdoors so I can let it rain freely, which right now we're in the rainy season and it does rain really heavily, and it just drains out. I don't have to worry about it getting too saturated, rotting the roots. So it's been very, very good for me. My homemade mix has a granular size of like a 1/4 inch upwards of 1/2 inch, and I use zeolite, pumice, locally sourced lava rock, and horticultural charcoal. It's done very, very well for me, and I really like the mix. And then I just add a slowly release fertilizer. I typically do a liquid feed every other watering, and then I use RO water to water and to make the liquid feed anyway. So I'm excited to see where these guys go. I want to see this project get huge. I want to see these turn into just enormous mother plants. I cannot wait to have it set its first flower spike, and we're going to try to pollinate it. And we're going to try to get some variegation out of it, of course. So if you like that kind of thing, you like what you see here, please subscribe, join along for my future adventures. We have all kinds of stuff. I also do woodworking, and so I made this little vase here out of Kiave wood. It's something I'll show here in the future, but we do all kinds of things here at the Rocky Fern. So we'll see you on the next adventure. Make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up.